In a quiet corner of a crowded town lived a boy named Tunde. Tunde was not the smartest in his class. At least, that's what everyone believed. He came from a small, struggling family. His mother sold roasted corn by the roadside, and his father had been gone for years. Every morning before school, Tunde would help his mother set up her small stand, fanning the charcoal fire while the smoke stung his eyes. By the time he got to school, his uniform was already smelling of smoke, and the other students noticed. "Ah, here comes Mr. Roasted Corn," one boy would shout. The class would burst into laughter. Tunde would just smile quietly and walk to his seat at the back. But what they didn't know was that Tunde had a dream, a big one. He wanted to become a doctor, not for fame, not for money, but because when he was younger, his little sister had fallen sick, and they couldn't afford proper treatment. She didn't survive. That day, Tunde made a silent promise. "One day I will save lives, even if nobody believes in me." Every day after school, while other students went home to watch TV or play football, Tunde returned to his mother's corn stand. He worked until night, and when darkness fell, something unusual happened. Their house had no electricity, so instead of giving up, Tunde carried his books and walked to the nearest streetlight. There, under that dim yellow glow, he studied. Mosquitoes bit him. Cold winds brushed against his skin. Sometimes, rain forced him to run and hide under a nearby shop roof. But he never stopped. Night after night, page after page, dream after dream. At school, his teachers barely noticed him, until one day, the principal walked into his class with a serious expression. "Students," he said, "we have selected candidates for the National Scholarship Exam. Only the best will represent this school." Everyone turned to the top students, the usual names. Then the principal continued, "And one more name, Tunde." The class went silent, then laughter. "Sir, that one?" someone whispered loudly. Even the teacher looked surprised, but the principal raised his hand. "I have seen something in him, something you all have missed." From that day, everything changed. Tunde studied harder than ever before. Sleep became a luxury. Doubt became his daily enemy, but he kept going, because this wasn't just an exam. This was his only way out. The day of the exam came. Hundreds of students gathered from different schools. Some came in neat uniforms, with expensive materials and confidence written all over their faces. Tunde came with his worn-out sandals and a borrowed pen. As he sat down, fear whispered to him, "You don't belong here." But then another voice replied, "You didn't come this far to give up now." Weeks later, the results were released. Students gathered around the notice board, pushing and shouting. Tunde stood far back, too afraid to check. Then suddenly, someone screamed, "Who is Tunde?" His heart dropped. Slowly, he stepped forward. I am." The crowd parted. Eyes stared, some in shock, some in disbelief. The boy pointed at the top of the list. "Number 1, Tunde." The same class that once laughed at him stood in silence. The same teachers who ignored him now called his name with pride. And his mother? She cried. Right there by her corn stand, tears of joy falling into the fire she had struggled to keep burning for years. That scholarship changed everything. Tunde went on to study medicine. Years later, he returned to that same town, not as Mr. Roasted Corn, but as Dr. Tunde. And the first thing he did? He built a small clinic, right beside the streetlight where his journey began. Moral of the story: never underestimate the quiet ones. Sometimes the strongest dreams are built in the darkest places.